Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is our privilege to welcome you all to the 4th Auto Retail Conclave, Success Through Synergy by Federation of Automobile Dealers Association. We appreciate you all taking your valuable time out and being a part of our 4th conclave. With the COVID situation coming under control, we are fortunate to meet you all in person with 100% physical event this year. Before commencing the conclave, I would request you all to kindly put your mobile phones on silent mode, as this would help us ensure a seamless flow of our event. Also, in case of any emergency, I request you all to have a quick look around to understand that there are 6 emergency gates which can be used. Today, at the 4th edition of Auto Retail Conclave on the theme Success Through Synergy, shall be having discussions on dealer-centric issues at the core. 400 dealer principals from all across the country are attending this conclave today. Let me also familiarize you with the Federation of Automobile Dealers Association, which is also popularly called FADA. Founded in 1964, FADA is the apex national body of the automobile retail industry in India, engaged in the sale, service, and spares of 2/3 vehicles, passenger cars, UVs, commercial vehicles, including buses and trucks and tractors. FADA represents over 15,000 automobile dealers, having 26,500 dealerships, including multiple associations of automobile dealers at the regional, state, and city levels, representing the entire auto retail industry. Together, the organization employs 45 lakh people at dealerships and service centers. FADA, at the same time, also actively networks with the industries and the authorities, both at the central and state levels, to provide its inputs and suggestions on the auto policy, taxation, vehicle registration procedure, road safety and clean environment, etc., to sustain the growth of the automobile retail trade in India. Well, there will be a number of enlightening sessions throughout the conclave, which will be followed by the much-awaited award ceremony for the 2nd edition of Annual Dealer Satisfaction Study. Well, I, Smriti Rastogi, once again welcome you all to the inaugural session of the Mega Conclave. And now let us officially set the tone for the 4th Auto Retail Conclave, Success Through Synergy by the Federation of Automobile Dealers Association. I would like to thank our partners who have played a pivotal role in making this conclave possible. Our title partners, HDFC Bank, HDFC Ergo, Gold partners, Car Dekho, and Mahindra Finance. Our silver partners, ATS Elgi, AU Small Finance Bank, ICICI Lombard. Our bronze partners, Akzo Nobel and Chola Mandalam. And before moving ahead with the itinerary, let us all stand for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Thank you so much, everyone. I request you all to kindly take your seats. And there is one more partner with us, our gold partner, without whom this event would have not been possible, the Spare Care. Thank you so much to all our partners for making this event, this conclave, possible today. And now for the lamp lighting, I would request the dignitaries to kindly come forward. Mr. Manish Raj Singhania, President, FADA. Mr. Amar Jatin Seth, Treasurer, FADA. Mr. Saharsh Damani, CEO, FADA. Mr. Vinod Agarwal, President-elect, SIAM. Mr. Sanjay J. Kapoor, President, ACMA. And Mr. Arvind Kapil, Country Head, Retail Assets, HDFC Bank. A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Light is a universal symbol of truth, knowledge, and understanding. It acts as a guide, keeping us from stumbling in the dark. On that note, we hope that this light helps us in finding our paths towards our meaningful endeavors. Thank you so much, gentlemen. And now I would request Mr. Manish Raj Singhania, President, FADA, Mr. Amar Jatin Seth, Treasurer, FADA, our guest of honor, Mr. Vinod Agarwal, President-elect, SIAM, Mr. Sanjay J. Kapoor, President, ACMA, and Mr. Arvind Kapil, Country Head, Retail Assets, HDFC Bank, to kindly take their seats on the dais. Our heartiest welcome once again to all the dignitaries on the dais. And now moving ahead for the presidential address, I would invite Mr. Manish Raj Singhania, President, FADA, to kindly come forward.
So, good afternoon, everyone. First of all, sorry, we started a bit late, but we were helpless with the dignitary timings. And I warmly welcome Mr. Vinod Ji Agarwal, Vice President SIAM, Mr. Sanjay Kapoor, President ACMA. See, ACMA also went ACMA, like FADA. So, and Mr. Arvind Kapil, HDFC Bank Country Head, and friends from media, our dear members, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome all of you to FADA's 4th Auto Retail Conclave, the first full-blown physical event happening after a long, long time. And yes, we are simply loving it. The Auto Retail Conclave is a platform where we discuss pinpointed dealer issues which hamper their core working. The aim is to iron out all such issues with top quality deliberations which happen on this platform. We have tried to line up an agenda which discusses all issues today, may it be the demand-supply mismatch and how can we realign the same as per current market needs, or discuss the outcome of dealer satisfaction study. the hits and misses, and how can we further improve on the relationship between OEMs, dealers. My predecessor, Vinkesh, who is now chairman of Academy and Research, FADA, has created two very thoughtful verticals during his tenure. FADA Gen X, a vertical for next generation of auto dealers, and women in FADA, where women entrepreneurs which are managing any department of dealerships are being encouraged to come forward and join FADA. The Gen X vertical is absolutely pumped up and will share a detailed plan for the times to come during the day. Friends, I must praise our FADA's Delhi State Chairperson, Ms. Garima, who has created such a good rapport with the Delhi Transport Department. Today, FADA Delhi, under her leadership, will be signing the first of its kind MOU with the Transport Department of Delhi. This MOU brings an understanding between dealers and Delhi Transport Department regarding all the registration related issues. FADA has also worked on with the Delhi Transport Department on amicable solution which are benefiting to the department as well as the dealers. Apart from this, the State Transport Department is also wanting FADA to lead on at least 20 different functions which RTOs are currently handling so that ease of doing business can be further improved in Delhi. This is a landmark thing which we want to further extend across India. Vinodji, Sanjay, SIAM and ACMA and FADA are three pillars of auto retail trade. We have to work together very aggressively, cohesively to solve problems of our industry. Being dealers, we are the first customers of OEM, and as dealers look after their customers very, very possessively, we want as SIAM also to look after their first customers, that is dealers, very, very possessively. Taking this opportunity, Vinodji, I propose there should be a quarterly meeting between the three pillars of the auto retail trade, that is ACMA, SIAM and FADA. We discuss together and iron out any issues that comes between us and think of a progressive auto retail trade rather than just sitting there and solving problems. I humbly take this opportunity, Vinodji. I hope you take this positively, and under your able leadership, we'll be able to implement this. The relationship between OEM and dealers is typically governed by dealership contracts between the two. Historically, OEMs and dealers in India have a tumultuous relationship, given the financial might of the OEM and the relatively small size of the dealers, who usually invest their life savings to set up their dealerships. While OEM-dealer agreements are governed under the Indian Contract Act, the current legal regime does not contain any clear solutions to the issues faced by the dealers, due to the disbalanced nature of the existing contracts that we sign. For instance, the tenure of dealerships agreement in India is not standardized, and terms of renewal are often couched in uncertainty in many contracts, which increases risk for dealers. Termination grounds for OEMs are also much broader as compared to the grounds available to dealers. This, when read with the lack of strong post-termination obligation, it adds to the dealer's woes, distress. To address these challenges, FADA commenced an in-depth analysis on various dealership agreements of not only in India but across the world. And we had a comparative analysis done between dealership agreements. What we found that OEM in India exercises tighter control over the dealers' businesses. despite the OEM dealer contracts being principal to principals agreements. The termination provision in Indian agreements are also relatively one-sided, and the grounds as well as the notice periods on which OEMs can terminate agreements reflect the inequity embedded in these agreements. However, these issues are better addressed in many foreign OEM dealer agreements. Given the imbalance in the Indian dealership contract, FADA has prepared a model dealer agreement, MDA, that's what we call it, that seeks to establish equity and balance in the contractual relationship between the OEM and the dealers. We have considered international best practices, referred to dealership contracts in other countries, and studied the Indian legal landscape. The provisions of the MDA reflects this harmony. Though, through this MDA, we have attempted to address some of the key issues that dealers face in India, such as lack of protection against certain OEM exists that we have already seen in a lot of multinationals exiting India, lack of clear mandatory repurchase obligations on the OEMs, lack of clarity in indemnity provisions, among many others. But we have made a strong and conscious attempt to create a sense of balance between dealers and OEM through equitable contractual provisions. We believe that increased opportunities for consultations, deliberations, and clarity with respect to obligation under the agreement are in interest of both the parties and would ultimately lead to an alignment of incentives and help create more successful OEM-dealer relationship going forward. Post finalization of the same from our end, we even got the MDA vetted by ex-senior industry captains so that a balanced view can be generated from both the ends. So we had a very good feedback from industry captains, which we incorporated in our MDA to make it a very balanced agreement, equitable both from the OEM point of view as well as the dealer's point of view. Since we are launching the MDA at later part of the inaugural session, we'll be sharing copies of the same with all OEM captains. Vinodji, for this, FADA will require your wholehearted support and active dialogue to get this MDA studied and implemented across various OEMs in auto industry in India. Friends, it is absolutely shocking to note that India has the deadliest national highways, and speeding is a major cause of mishaps. We recently saw one of the industry leaders collapsing, Mr. Cyrus Mistry, and that was a real shock for the auto industry. Finally, whenever an accident happens, the auto industry comes in focus, in view, and is deeply and scrutinized in all aspects. Taking cognizance, FADA is initiating a campaign called Buckle Up India, where we request not only the passengers sitting in a car to buckle up, but we'll also request two-wheeler customers to buckle up their helmet. So that's the campaign that FADA would be launching, looking to the recent accident that has happened. And this is not going to be a one-time affair. Every quarter we intend to launch some campaigns that would be actively played across dealership in India. Customers should be made to understand the importance of buckling up on and other safety measures. In fact, I would take this opportunity, rather all the three pillars of auto industry, SIAM and ACMA and FADA collaborate, and together we come up with why only Mr. Gadkari gets Akshay Kumar. Why not us? We can also get Akshay Kumar, somebody, an idol whom people listen to or appreciate or idolize, and maybe, go for the safety measures that are incorporated in our vehicles. So this can be an opportunity where we three collaborate and on a quarterly basis produce some safety-conscious AVs and videos that can be played across OEM, ACMA, and FADA facilities. Friends, over the last few years, FADA's release of auto retail trade has been well appreciated today. The entire auto ecosystem awaits this data release from us. Why did we start releasing it? And what all issues did we face has been captured beautifully in a short video, which we have prepared. So I request the AV to come up.
Data is a very important tool for any business, and for auto industry, it is the most important thing. The problem in auto industry was always that the kind of data which was taken for any kind of analysis or categorization was not the right data, because it was covering the wholesale data, and it was normally called the sale data. Wholesale data, which means if a vehicle is manufactured and dispatched to the dealers. So practically it is only the transfer of stock from the manufacturer to the dealers, whereas it was always termed as sale data. And this happened only in India if we compare the whole world.
See, even though wholesale data just gave a small hint, me as a dealer, it never gave me an accurate picture in terms of the inventory level which I am carrying at my backyard.
It was around August 2018 that the IL&FS crisis hit the market.
What we are calling a time bomb that is ticking fast. The IL&FS turmoil has sent shock.
Liquidity suddenly dried up for all the NBFCs. Around the same time, dealers had stocked up on inventory for the forthcoming festive season. And what followed was bad. We had one of the worst festive seasons in the last 10 years. That was also a time that the auto majors released figures which showed a growth of 8.5%, whereas the market reality was something different. That's when we decided to release the festive numbers so that the market reality is known to everybody, including our manufacturers.
So festive demand has not been good as per our expectations, and to be very frank, this kind of slowdown we saw last in 2013.
We started working on the data rigorously, and we thought that beginning January 2019, we should pull out the data on a regular basis.
The Federation of Automobile Dealers Association, or FADA, has released the monthly vehicle registration data for the month of December 2018.
The biggest challenge which we faced was the data itself. While Vahan was being used by many states, it wasn't giving a complete picture. Second, for historical data, there was a big dump which was provided in the Vahan platform. So we had to clearly sit down with MORTH, the ministry, and also NIC, the National Informatics Center, which manages Vahan. We had to do multiple round of meetings with them, make them understand how to clear the data and how to clean it.
We were releasing the data on 20th of every month, and that was a big concern what we were facing. We had to check the basic reason, which we found out that the different RTOs were taking around 10 days to get those approval done of the vehicle which were registered. And that is where we had to push MORTH and NIC to improve the process of approval, which helped us a lot. We were able to reduce the dates, and it's really wonderful. From 20th we came down to 10, and today we are doing around 4th and 5th.
Let me welcome Vinkesh Gulati.
अब क्या situation थोड़ी बेहतर हुई है, numbers को देखते हुए थोड़ी
Total vehicle retails have shown a recovery.
FADA has released the auto registration numbers for the month of Jan.
Today, FADA data has become the most anticipated data in auto industry.
Dear channel partners, I would like to congratulate FADA for the initiative taken on reporting industry details. Retail data depicts the real sales in the market. Therefore, by focusing on retails, it helps to drive alignment across the value chain and brings greater efficiency and effective working capital management for all the stakeholders.
I congratulate FADA on collating and disseminating vehicle data month on month without fail for the last 4 years. The FADA data is indeed a wealth of authentic information on vehicle consumption across the country.
Now, when you have retail data of the entire industry, of different companies in front of you, you actually know how these products in different segments are doing in the market.
This also helps us to understand the production ramp-ups to the market share of the car makers and to the sustained demand in the market of the Indian industry.
Even the RBI's Industry Monitoring Group takes our data to plan and analyze the health of the Indian auto industry. And lately, the Modi government, when they came up their achievement of 8 years, FADA data was covered as the base of showing the growth in auto industry. Moving on with time, we have improved our data to a very good level. A lot of classifications which we are sharing. Recently, we had also started electric vehicle and also the three-wheeler segregation on load, electric vehicle and all.
Going forward, I think we'll keep on innovating ourselves, keep on innovating in terms of the data so that more accurate picture can be given to all the stakeholders of the auto industry.
Our aim is that one day we are able to release this data on 1st of every month so that everybody involved in this auto industry is able to strategize and plan for the future at the real time.
Along with the timing of release on 1st, the idea is to provide a comprehensive, detailed and in-depth research of the auto retail data to all the stakeholders of the industry so that they can analyze the past, execute in the present and prepare for the future in the uncertain times which many believe are here to stay.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that's the way FADA has established the auto retail figures, Vahan figures in the market, true pulse of the market, where ideally market share is now calculated, and we really we'll continuously work on it and take it further to even deeper levels to give a better understanding of auto business. So, FADA has been working for you. And this 4th Auto Retail Conclave is to address dealer issues. I once again warmly welcome all the delegates present here and thank you for your active participation throughout the day. And let's hope this 4th Retail Conclave delivers what you have come for. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Our gratitude, Mr. Singhania, for officially setting the context for the conclave. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I would request our guest of honor, Mr. Arvind Kapil, Country Head Retail Assets, HDFC Bank, to kindly present the keynote address. A very warm welcome.
Thank you so much, Mr. Singhania. Thank you, Fada. Thank you, my respectable members. FADA, sorry. FADA. Thank you, my respectable members here, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor for HDFC Bank to be part of this extremely great work being done by FADA, and I think let me take this opportunity probably as a banker, and my team is here, and we've got fantastic audience here to kind of share our limited perspective on how and why we believe we're bullish on the auto industry and how we connect the dots of the industry vis-a-vis India and how I see maybe a limited perspective on the dealers' finances and how we see that perspective from a banker's lens. So let me quickly give you a quick insight. It's going to be on the spot the way I think and the way we work around it. I think last 2-3 years have been a clear challenge on the supply side from the auto industry. But if I were to comment on the next 3 to 5 years, as finances, we have reasons to be extremely bullish. One of the fundamental thinking behind this is that almost, I think in the next 4 to 5 years, India's disposable income is going to get a lift of almost around 60%. That's going to be one of the key drivers more at the grassroots level. So I think there are a lot of talks of these motorcycles probably evolving into the first level cars, with the first level cars probably are sluggish right now. But I think in the 4 to 5 years, there could be a different pattern. Simultaneously, we find that the rate at which your premium cars are growing might accelerate substantially further. If I look at the tier 1 and tier 2 cities, we all know that this 31 cars per thousand is likely to move to 40, 50. But for a second, let's pause and understand what are the strengths of India which make us believe as bankers that probably all this will fructify to a better story for auto industry. Let's start with the agri sector, where bulk of your army resides for India in terms of its population. Farmers' income is going up by 30 to 70%, depending on the crop. But where does this money translate in an economy? This money translates, almost 25% of this money is spent in the semi-urban areas, 35% for electronics. So if you look at a lot of agri money is fueling the semi-urban areas. And this is giving a massive boost to the next level of tier 3, tier 4, tier 5 cities. And that's what from a finances lens we are finding it. And that we are seeing a bullwhig effect there. Added to that, if you look at age of India, if you look at a decade back, age of 30 to 40 years used to take single-digit loans on consumer finance. That could be auto, could be unsecured personal loan, and these are consumption loans. If you look at a decade later now, the pattern is almost 43%. So there is a whole lot of youngsters, and I see that similar pattern in the auto industry. You have a huge amount of SUVs getting sold at 25 to 35. So I think if I connect these dots, very clearly there's an age playing out in favor of the consumption. And average India's age at 28 and probably 40% of the population is going to be between a 30 to 40%. We have a story coming out of this. Added to this, the very obvious structural strengths that you see in India. Your GST, 13 million consumers registered today. What is it leading to? You're filing double the number of people have filed ITR over the last 5 years. Who's the biggest beneficiary out of this? The self-employed. Now, give me a minute on the self-employed because that's again connects to your dealer fraternity. The self-employed segment, by and large, if I look at a mortgage product, it's just about a 5% penetration versus close to a 20% on the salaried side. Why? Because most of them never participated in the organized finance. But that's dramatically changing. As a matter of fact, the entrepreneur of India might be the next big story from a financing world point of view. You could have a substantial kicker coming in on that side and boosting your on multiple levels of GDP there. So this 5% penetration is going to get a kicker. Look at India from a finance stability point of view. India financial sector has bureaus. Bureaus have done a commendable job in strengthening the climate of credit. If you look at even compare it with a country like China, China doesn't have the kind of depth of bureaus that India has. So just to give you a sense of how easy, when you have bureaus, you can actually go substantially more digitized in a more sensible manner. And when I say digitize, let me also again remind you that the age bracket was 30 to 40%, which is going to fuel this country. So digitization naturally has to flow, not just for bankers and manufacturers, and I guess it's going to flow for dealers as well. Because, your target audience is going to get greater and greater skew to that particular segment. And that's going to be the segment that's going to have the money, and that's going to be the dispensable income. Let's also for a minute reflect on the kind of strength, at least as from a finance point of view, we are very excited about hybrid cars. We see very excited about the electric cars. As part of a couple of other committees, I'm aware of the fact the government is putting in massive effort over now till the next 5 years on the clean energy. And I think that's all going to come alive in your battery life innovations and a whole lot of other stuff that's happening. And it's difficult to comment on that, but if I were to just comment on it from a crystal gaze, I think there's a fair amount of tilt happening on maybe a 1 billion going to a 7 billion, maybe much more on a compounding effect on the clean energy cars which are going to come in. And I think that's going to be a great sense of revival and energy in the auto industry. That's going to be another kicker that I see happening along with your existing products. And I think last but most important, just a few quick comments on the dealer fraternity. We are excited to work with all of them. We've seen that in COVID times, I think there were a lot of difficult times for all of us, including the banks. But it's very interesting to see that we find a very clear pattern of dealers being financially more prudent. And it's very heartening to see that as bankers. Whether you look at working capital cycles, whether you look at inventory cycles, whether you're looking at people diverting funds, whether you're looking at short-term being used for long-term, and some of these are very usual vectors that bankers generally look at, we find a very significant and a very solid improvement. So I'd like to congratulate all the dealer fraternity for that. And I think wish you all the very best and thank you for this opportunity and the exciting road ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kapil. And I would now invite our guest of honor, Mr. Sanjay J. Kapoor, President, ACMA, to present the keynote address. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, Manish, President, FADA, Mr. Vinod Agarwal, President, CIAM, Vice President, CIAM, Arvind, Country Head, Retail Assets, HDFC Bank. Always good to get a financer's point of view on the auto component or the automotive industry. Amar Seth, Treasurer of FADA, and Mr. Damani, CEO of FADA. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to all of you. It's a pleasure to be here physically and get away from Zoom where, I had to ask you to unmute me or can you hear me and can you see me? So it's good to be back physically, as Manish said. Let me begin by congratulating you, Manish, on being appointed as President of FADA. And on behalf of ACMA, I wish you great success and an eventful year as the President of FADA, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I hope all good events occur. Let me also congratulate my friend Vinkesh for a very successful 2 years as the President of FADA. Vinkesh has been a very vocal leader, if I may say so, and rightly so, as that was what was required given the nature of the rapid changes that occurred in a very short period of time in our very disruptive industry. And while Vinkesh had a spectacular performance and has taken FADA to greater heights, I'm confident that Manish, with his charismatic leadership, will set an even higher benchmark. It is indeed heartening to note that FADA today has emerged as a strong and effective voice in the vehicle dealers industry. I take this opportunity to congratulate the past presidents and leadership at FADA for their collective efforts towards creating a credible institution that has not only evolved to withstand challenges of the time, but also created a place that it rightfully deserves in the automotive ecosystem. I must compliment FADA on the monthly statistics on vehicle retail sales. I understand that today, but for one state, which is yet to be onboarded on the Vahan platform, FADA practically covers data of vehicle sales across the country. This is indeed very commendable and gives us in the auto component industry a first-hand feel of the consumer pulse, without which our understanding of the automotive market would truly be incomplete. I would also like to thank FADA for the camaraderie with CIAM and ACMA in taking up the challenges that we as an industry encounter from time to time. Manish, I like your suggestion of quarterly meetings, which will give great benefit not just to the component industry and the OEMs, but also to the dealerships. Your point on safety is very well taken. World Bank data has shown us that we have 1 death per 4 minutes in India. And this is a horrific statistic, and at ACMA, we have a great road safety program, and we hope to collaborate with your safety program of Buckle Up at FADA and bring some more awareness around safety in our country. Ladies and gentlemen, at this juncture, let me also give you a quick update on the performance of the auto component industry. The first half of the last fiscal year witnessed persistence of an environment of volatility and a disrupted supply chain with significant challenges on the front of availability and prices of raw material, availability of semiconductors, and significant challenges on the logistics front. It is indeed very heartening that the industry continued to display remarkable resilience, and I'm happy to mention that most of these challenges are moderated to some extent. While vehicle sales, especially in passenger vehicles and commercial vehicle segments, have reached pre-pandemic levels, Fast recovery in external markets and traction in the domestic aftermarket have contributed to this remarkable growth in the auto component sector in FY 21-22. In this backdrop, the component industry sized up $56.5 billion, which is a 23% growth and outpacing its highest ever turnover of FY 18-19. The exports grew to $19 billion, which is a trade surplus of $700 million, which again is a first in our history. The aftermarket also witnessed great growth of 15% and is now at $10 billion. I'm hopeful that the buoyancy in the market will continue through the year in 22-23, and we'll witness another year of healthy performance, and we're definitely counting on our friends at FADA for their support. With a slew of proposed new vehicle launches and the festival season around the corner, I'm sure our friends in the dealership community are as excited as we are. Speaking about the future of our industry, e-mobility has clearly caught the imagination of our government and our people. It is no longer a possibility but a reality, especially in the two-wheeler and three-wheeler industry. And Arvind, it's interesting to hear your take on EV and hybrid. We're seeing more and more growth in the EV segment, in the pure EV segment, at least globally. But we should have more of a discussion on this offline. With the disruption in the mobility space, we've also seen several service businesses emerge, allowing a new ecosystem of players to be part of the industry. In fact, yesterday we had our first executive committee meeting for the year, and we onboarded 2 non-automotive players into ACMA, and both the companies are from the electronic industry. So I strongly believe that the competitive landscape of our industry is changing so rapidly that it's time for us to collaborate or die. I'm sure the dealership sector is also gearing up to confront these challenges in the auto industry, and while the auto industry transforms into the mobility industry. So we're not just limited to automotive, but we're limited to the entire mobility space. And with these challenges, as people term them, or changes, will also come great opportunities. And that's really how we view our businesses going forward. The opportunities will present themselves in various forms, be them in products, be they in processes, or in services. And it is really ours for the taking. Each one of you and each one of us will have to transform our business and our thinking of the future and the way the future will unfold to stay relevant. The pandemic brought with it several changes and challenges and a high speed of adoption of digital platforms and work from home. My questions are, will this impact the future of car buying? Will shared mobility continue to grow? Will vehicle service business completely change in terms of products and skill sets required? And how will we keep up with these changes? I'm sure these are top-of-mind questions for each one of you. FADA will be called upon to play an even greater role to handhold its members and ensure that not only they survive through this transformation, but also thrive through this transformation. So as I close, I once again wish you all good luck, not only for this event, but also for a very bright future. A lot of our hopes are pinned on your performance. And so once again, thank you for having me, and I wish FADA great success in its endeavors. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Kapoor. And now I would invite our guest of honor, Mr. Vinod Agarwal, President-elect, Siam, to kindly present the keynote address. A very warm welcome.
Mr. Manish Raj, President FADA, Sanjay ji, President ACMA. I was careful. Arvind Kapil ji, Country Head Retail Assets for HDFC Bank. Amarjatin Seth, Treasurer FADA. And my colleagues from automotive fraternity, media and friends. Very good afternoon to all of you. Let me first thank FADA for inviting me for this important program. And it is my privilege to be with you all at this 4th Auto Retail Conclave at FADA today. First of all, I would like to congratulate Manish Raj Singhania ji for taking over as FADA's 36th president. We at SIAM look forward to working very, very closely with you and complement each other's efforts as this industry is poised to grow manifold in the Amrit Kal in the next 25 years. And the theme of today's conclave, success through synergy, is very, very appropriate in the current context. And your suggestion that we should have more regular interactions, quarterly interactions, is very welcome. And we will definitely start that along with SIAM and ECMA. I would also like to compliment Vinkesh Gulati ji for his excellent leadership in FADA in last 2 years. In fact, if you look at the improvements that have happened in the system, especially on the information on retail sales, and as a result of which, I'm sure there is some release of pressure on dealer stocks. So maybe the pushing of stocks might have come down. And then, of course, I think the work on the MDAs that Manish mentioned in his address, definitely these are the things which are very, very good achievements during your tenure. So compliments to you again. Indian automobile industry has covered a lot of lost ground in the last 1 year, in spite of several headwinds, especially coming from various types of disruptions with supply chain, high commodity prices, high fuel prices, etc. During the last year, the growth has been observed in domestic sales across all segments, except two-wheelers, three-wheelers, and small passenger vehicles. We are yet to reach the peak levels of 2018-19, but it is heartening to note that we are already reached pre-pandemic levels in most of the automotive sectors. And we now need to put our act together as we charter out a new phase of growth of this industry. Recovery of this industry has been achieved as a result of close partnership between the auto OEMs and the automobile dealers, who play an integral part of the bridging the gap between auto OEMs and consumers. I would also like to compliment FADA for undertaking dealer satisfaction survey with an aim to close the gap between OEM-dealer relationships and share the best practices followed by OEMs. Auto OEMs and the dealers share a symbiotic relationship, and it is through this synergy between the two that the industry would further grow and succeed. Electric vehicles are the future of automobile industry, and with the Government of India's support and policies, the share of electric vehicles in the automobile industry is poised to increase. Recent performance results of the auto industry corroborates this phenomena. Electric vehicle adoption is still in very, very nascent stage, at least in some of the segments. FADA members need to play a pivotal role in this very critical transition that is taking place in the industry. Our engineers would be able to produce and put in the best of electric vehicles on the roads, but in order to gain the confidence of the end consumers, it is the FADA members on which we have to entirely rely in this journey. Capability and ability of FADA members to impart knowledge is essential for the growth of electric vehicle segment. To augment this capability, FADA can play a very, very important role in organizing capacity building sessions for their dealers to develop their expertise on various nuances of the new part trends of the electrified vehicles. One of the sustainability questions that keep arising is how to use the augmented and virtual reality, and that will make a major impact in this industry. Would the consumers make their entire decision of purchasing a particular vehicle model online, or would the consumer step out from his home to have a touch and feel of the product before he or she goes ahead in buying the product? This fact is, we are living in a world where both of these processes coexist. The phygital approach that is prevalent today enables the customers to shortlist the vehicles online, followed by the visit to the dealer. In some time to come, majority of the consumers may opt for buying a vehicle completely online. As stakeholders and business entities, our role is to provide best experience for our customers and provide both these options to them. Nowadays, the way the automobile sales are undertaken has also been transforming, with some companies engaging in direct-to-consumer practices as well, instead of selling vehicles through dealerships. All SAM member companies continue to do their business through their dealers. But we have to be conscious of the new business patterns and ultimately analyze if such processes benefit the consumers. Hence, we need to study these new approaches very, very carefully and adopt our own processes to this changing environment if it benefits the consumers at large. Another new trend which we need to be cognizant of is the leasing approach to the vehicle buying. Leasing concept has taken off very well in the developed countries, and next-gen consumers do not want a liability of an asset being put on them. There are certain taxation issues currently which might be causing some hurdles in leasing being adopted in a big way in our country, but it will soon become a preferred option of owning a vehicle with minimum strings attached. Hence, there is immense potential for FADA members to adopt to these new approaches along with their partner OEMs. Both the OEMs and automotive dealers fraternity have to continuously evolve in changing scenarios with an ultimate objective of providing safe, environmentally friendly, comfortable mobility solutions to all. Let us collaborate more closely, and I am confident that we will continue to be successful through our synergies. Thank you very much.
Our heartfelt gratitude, Mr. Agarwal. And now I would request for the 8 books of model dealer agreement to be brought on the dais. The 8 books of model dealer agreement, they are a very significant part of this conclave today. Also, I would invite Mr. Venkesh Gulati, Chairman, FADA, Academy and Research, Mr. Nikunj Sanghi, Past President, FADA, Mr. Saharsh Damani, CEO, FADA, to kindly come on the stage for the launch of this much-awaited model dealer agreement. A big round of applause for the model dealer agreement at the 4th ARC today, the Auto Retail Conclave. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly put your hands together for the model dealer agreement. Thanks a lot, gentlemen. And now a special mention to our guests of honor who have graced the occasion with their august presence. I would request Mr. Manish Raj Singhania to kindly felicitate Mr. Vinod Agarwal. Mr. Manish Raj Singhania to kindly felicitate Mr. Vinod Agarwal. Mr. Singhania, I would also request you to kindly felicitate Mr. Sanjay J. Kapoor. A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for our guests of honor who have graced the occasion today. And now I would request Mr. Amar Jatin Seth to kindly felicitate Mr. Arvind Kapil. Our gratitude to all the guests of honor who have graced the conclave today. And now I would invite all our eminent guests to kindly come forward for a group photograph. We are indeed indebted with your gracious presence here. And now I would request Mr. Amar Jatin Seth to kindly present the vote of thanks.
Thank you everyone for being here today. A special heartfelt gratitude to Vinod Ji Agarwal, to Sanjay Kapoor and Arvind Kapil for being a part of our inaugural session. Of course, like Manish Ji said, that CM and ACMA and FADA should work together, and we are sure to achieve much greater heights. But I think some sort of this working together or co-working has already happened with MORTH and NIC. So if we just extrapolate that into ACMA and CM and FADA, I think, and get in MORTH and NIC too, there is so much of data that is then available to everyone who can certainly interpret that in their best way and benefit the retail customer much, much more. So I think this is going to be a great synergy. Arvind ji, like you mentioned that COVID actually, we were all very scared when it came in, right? That what will happen to automobiles. All of us gave up hope on a retail customer coming to the showroom, or manufacturers gave up their share of the semiconductors to white goods, saying no one's going to buy a car again. But I'm glad that we all were proved wrong. Today, maybe auto dealers are much more healthier, like you rightly mentioned, than earlier, but they are also certainly a lot more prudent. This has a very strong base, and going forward, this is something that is going to build great dealerships too, because a dealership itself is a large organization, and financial prudence is something that is of immense importance. And I think with HDFC's innovative products that are available, the speed at which they work, and the immense data that they hold, the dealers in this room and otherwise will be happy to engage and see how best we can interpret this and grow our market even further. Sanjay ji, thank you very much for acknowledging that the data is important, that we present month on month. Yes, that one state of Telangana is still missing. We hope to get some sort of things from there soon. We look forward to the coordination that you spoke of, and it is certainly very heartening to note that ACMA has been growing at a great pace, and those are then components coming into the manufacturing which we all dealers will finally get to sell. So we are all glad to see that silver lining coming in. You spoke about mobility and you spoke about what is going to happen in the future of shared mobility or how will the dealer end change. I think you set our agenda for the Auto Summit in January. We now know what we are going to hold the summit for. Vinodji, it's always nice to listen to your words. Again, you acknowledge the data. Thank you so much for it. Yes, I think you hit the nail on the head. Vinkeshji has put in a lot of effort in his tenure. FADA has been blessed as an organization to have its presidents in the recent past being very dynamic and doing a lot of things. So at each change, we are continuously raising the bar, and under Manishji's guidance, I'm sure we will continue to take that further. We do hope that the OEMs also share your views on the importance of working together with the dealers, and the model dealer agreement that we unveiled today. What we're just trying to say is that treat us dealers on par with what agreements you all sign globally with the same brands. And I think it's something very fair. Certainly, it will have to be gone through in detail and deliberated. But we believe it is a very balanced and methodical approach. We are happy to, of course, engage on this further. Thank you, everyone, for being a part of this inaugural session. Thank you very much to the people on the dais once again. And let's all write this India growth story together.
Thank you so much, Mr. Seth, and thank you so much, gentlemen. I will request you all to kindly take your seats in the hall.